Craftsman Days are here at Lowe's with big savings on the tools you need. Right now, get a free select tool when you buy the Craftsman V20 2-pack battery kit. Whether it's the backyard, the bathroom, or beyond, Craftsman has the tools to help you power through and get the project done right. Because DIYing is unpredictable, but your tools shouldn't be. Shop Craftsman at Lowe's today. Valid through 6/18 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
Follow the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Here we go. Welcome in. It is Follow the Money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Mitch Moss along with Paulie Howard. We're live in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. Big 3-hour program lined up today. Great guests, including Jeff Seeley, his best bets for the Memorial Tournament this weekend on the PGA Tour. Jonathan Davis on the NHL. Derek Stevens in studio. A little bit later on today, the owner and CEO of Circa. And in 30 minutes, professional poker player Sean Deeb will be with us in studio as the World Series of Poker started today. And he has multiple unbelievable stories to share.
Yep. Ton of bracelets. Great online player. Started playing at 16 and won $800,000 on a weight loss prop bet. Can't wait to talk to this guy.
Yeah, he started playing at 16. I think I started playing poker when I was 14. Family events, holidays, older, relatives got me involved. I loved it. Obviously, never at that level. Wish I would have. Can I re-examine and go back in time? But also, that is pretty wild when you think about that. To lose that much weight and then to win $800,000 on it, and the guy who you're going to find out in about 30 minutes, the guy who bet him, was encouraging him the entire way because he wants good to happen to people.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason why he made the bet, because he knew Sean was so overweight.
Yeah, Bill Perkins has a ton of money,
right.
And he also was like kind of, hey, I'm going to help you here. You're 306 pounds. Your body fat is 40%. Let me help you out and give you an incentive, and I'll give you 10-1 odds.
Wild.
Let's both have skin in the game. I'll put up what you can win, and you put up some cash, too.
All right, so that's coming up bottom of this hour. Beginning the show here, talking about what took place last night, and then we'll tie it into tonight's Eastern Conference Game 4 as well. I thought the game last night was awesome. I thought, so far, we've had some blowouts in the playoffs, but overall, the amount of high-quality entertainment, the overall drama that we've had on a game-by-game basis with some of the stuff in the NBA has been spectacular. And last night, to me, the shot-making at times, for the most part, was exceptional. The fact that Oklahoma City couldn't miss and they couldn't cover a 3-point spread, but also the Timberwolves led the game in almost every single category. StatMuse put this out right after the game. Rebounds, assists, points off turnovers, fast break points, points in the paint, second chance points, free throw attempts and makes, field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, and free throw percentage. The T-Wolves led the game in all those categories, and they lost. And now I don't even care what the series price is because they're not going to win 3 in a row against this Oklahoma City team.
Nope. You would have been all in if I told you before the game that DiVincenzo, Walker, and McDaniels go for more than 20 points and they shoot like that and score 126. Again, not much help from Ant. I don't understand his post-game press conference. He only had 2 shots in the first half. Randall, a no-show, and to win all those categories and to shoot 51% from 3 and make 18 of them. Teams were 55-0 in the playoffs when doing that. Here comes your loss. And to win all those key categories and somehow lose the game is a crusher. You're right. It's over now. And they probably lose in 5, but that is just a score. I can't believe it. To do that offensively against that team at home, score 126 and you lose the game.
Well, here's the thing, too. It's not like they blew the game.
Yeah.
It's not like game 1 of Knicks-Pacers here,
Yeah,
right?
They're trying to fight back.
Every single time that they would claw back and tie the game, here comes a 7-0 run in 45 seconds by OKC. They led, I think, pretty much the entire game the way it felt. And on top of that, Minnesota self-destructed, I thought, with the turnovers. They had 21.
Yeah, it was big, because OKC took 11 more shots. Yep.
Yeah, and they also allowed, I know the game was even overall for offensive rebounds, but some of the guys, if you could secure a couple of more on the glass, oops, it fell out of my hand, or oops, we fought for it. 2 guys fought for it, and it fell right into the hands of an Oklahoma City player, and then the putback is there. It doesn't also hurt Oklahoma City that when SGA is going to play like that, he is the MVP, but also when you get that game from Williams, which was his best game of his career.
Yeah, great.
Good luck overall. And I will say that I don't have a problem. I thought there were a couple, because to me, right away in that first half last night, both teams set the tone, and it was a war, and it was brutal, and both teams defensively were trying to set the tone with how physical they were trying to be, and they were letting them play. And then SGA got like 2 ticky-tack calls, I thought. But beyond that, they also made up for that, the referees, by allowing Minnesota to be physical after that, and SGA would just make these crazy shots anyway. But if you watch the first quarter and the first half of that game, to me anyway, my biggest takeaway was, oh my God, there was such a huge difference between Anthony Edwards and SGA. They're not even close. Anthony Edwards is not even close to the same player as SGA. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander dominated that game in about 2 or 3 different areas last night, and Minnesota is very good defensively. It did not matter. He got to his spot, and if he had 2 guys on him or they put like the best defender on him, he knew how to shake them off, dribble to his left, find a spot in the corner, whatever it was. He was phenomenal at adjusting to what Minnesota was doing on offense last night and getting shots off and burying them. Their game plan defensively, after what happened in Game 3, clearly the message was, we're putting Lou Dort on Anthony Edwards, and Lou, it's time for you to be the guy that we thought was going to win Defensive Player of the Year. And the message that Lou Dort sent to Anthony Edwards to begin that game, he pushed him around. He made Anthony Edwards shrink and go away, and he had no confidence, and the guy was a total non-factor. And because Lou Dort would not let him get shots off, Edwards did nothing else to help his team win. It was a total indictment on Anthony Edwards last night, and A+ job by Lou Dort and the Oklahoma City defense to do that to him.
Well, you're strong. He had a bad game. I don't know what he was doing.
I know what he was doing.
I don't know how he can defend it. I don't know why you're taking 2 shots in the first half. You know, he said, I'm making the basketball plays and making the right plays, like finding the open guy. But you can't.
No, he didn't.
Finn said in the second half he was playing downhill and doing a better job.
He got better in the second half.
Well, you can't defend this. I mean, you can't be the best player and shoot twice. You can't just be like, well, okay, well, they changed their game plan. What am I going to do? I mean, that's crazy to me. You're the leader. You got to be the star, and it's not the first time we've seen that from him too. So that's troubling, and that stinks. And boy, speaking of Randall again, what's going on?
I have a bigger problem with Randall than Edwards last night.
Yeah. It's another guy. Well, after the game, he says, well, I was too passive. I have to be more. We just went through this. Come on. You can't do this again. The season's on the line. You're at home. You got to get the ball. Demand the ball. I mean, don't just stand in the corner. Now your season's going to be over.
Sure it is. Yeah, you're not going to win 3 in a row against this team. So I didn't even write down, even look at the series price. Don't have to. I have 0 in. You could make it
18-1's a take back.
Yeah, you could make Minnesota right now 100-1. I don't think I'd take them. Okay. I honestly don't think I would. They were broken last night, and that was, to me. Did you like the game as much as I did? I thought it was
awesome.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, it was great from an in-play standpoint too. You're like, I don't think anyone's getting stops in this one.
Well, and the thing, like the shot making overall from multiple guys on the Thunder, and like the game that McDaniels had, and the game that how much money now he was. If you go back a week, Alexander Walker was dreadful. He was a guy that I wanted no piece of. I didn't want to bet on that guy with his player prop, and now he's gone over 4 straight. He's been like brilliant playing off the bench, and now people are saying, how much money has this guy made himself in the last 4 games?
I don't know what's going to happen because you'll have a new owner taking over, buying the team, Laurie and A-Rod. So do they come in and spend a lot of money, or is it going to be like, I don't want to pay this, I just took over the team, and you cut payroll, or you don't want to pay these guys whatever it's going to. I don't know what their mindset is. Probably different what's going to happen in Boston, but there could be significant changes. But it's going to be tough to get there again, the conference finals, and fall short.
Yep,
I did think it was a great game. There was a huge rebound at the end for SGA when he threw it up in the stands. 35-1, most rebounds. Dead heat with Gobert. And thanks to the viewer who sent this in, I think FanDuel had it. Both teams 25 points in every quarter, 12-1.
Yeah.
That's a good market, good prop. I'm glad someone offered that. But, certainly up against it because OKC's only lost 1 game at home in the playoffs, and that's the epic collapse against Denver in Game 1.
Nice call by you. You like Terrence Shannon over his points last night. Got there as soon as he was put into the game. Kid's good. Turned
Walker
the ball
too.
over too many times. Otherwise, he would have got more playing time, I think.
Yeah.
So that brings us to tonight's game. Like, which players are you going to look at? We brought this up yesterday. A couple of guys, just in case Aaron Nesmith is compromised tonight with that sprained ankle for Indiana. If he is, the more I looked at Bennett Mathurin, no thank you. Guy's been terrible in this series.
No, right. But you're right with the other guy who's going to benefit as a result.
TJ McConnell? Or is it going to be Ben Shepherd?
Both.
Yeah.
But you mentioned Shepherd yesterday.
Yeah.
And Shepherd's low with his points. McConnell's more of his points and also points, rebounds, and assists.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, I think Shepherd is, it's 2.5. Shannon last night was 3.5. And as soon as he was put into the game, you're like, okay, now here we go. Now we're maybe cooking. And bam, you blink of an eye, and he went over his prop. And now Shepherd, so he's also he has been on, think about this for a second. If Nesmith, if he can't go or he's hurt, in this game tonight, Ben Shepherd has had the second most offensive possessions on Jalen Brunson. And Brunson's 5 of 12 from the floor. He played 7 minutes in game 1, had 6 points in game 2, then 17 minutes and 3 points in game 3. Like I said, Matherin's been terrible, and Shepherd 48% from the field, 41% from deep so far in the playoffs. 6-0 over 2.5 points when he gets double-digit minutes in the postseason so far.
Okay, and then McConnell at home. He's scored 10 points in 5 of the last 6. He's 8.5 tonight, and that's overall 5 of the last 6. At home, the 5 home games averaging 12 and 5. Dan Carpuck had this today, VSiN.com. It's 13.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Well, in the home games, he's averaging 12 and 5 alone.
Right.
That's just 2 categories. So there's several ways you can play that. At DraftKings, over 8.5 points is even money. And again, he's done that 5 of the last 6. So McConnell props, Shepherd over points, and then we'll see. I have no idea what Tibbs is going to do tonight. But then what does Carlisle do with Turner and Toppin? I know Wes Reynolds likes Toppin points under, but how they're going to do that, and I don't know if he can trust. I don't know if he can trust Turner on Towns and what he's going to do. Smarter bets start with VSiN Pro. Join now through the end of the month. 14 months, $199. We're kicking in 2 extra months free. Less than 50 cents a day. Promo code PRO. The morning email from Bill 80. Every best bet, every host, every guest. The betting splits, the dog videos, the NFL betting guide drops this summer. Limited time offer. Get it now. VSiN.com/subscribe. Code PRO.
Win-lose up next. SGA entered a club that only Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant were a part of before last night. We'll tell you what that is coming up next.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
We are stoked for this. This is going to be great. Paulie's been looking forward to this forever. Same here. We met his family a year or 2 ago when they came into town. They said, hey, we're relatives of Sean Deeb. We're like, really? Get out of here. Yeah, we watch the show every single day when we were in mornings. And now Sean Deeb, professional poker player, joins us the show here today in studio as the World Series of Poker gets underway today. Thanks so much for coming in. I know you're a very busy guy, obviously. We appreciate you taking some time here.
Yeah, it's awesome. I tried to get in with you guys last year, but you were filming a little too early for my Vegas sleep schedule, so
yes.
I couldn't get up for it. But yeah, this year it worked out well. I flew in yesterday. I'm playing my first event later today, so I'll just register a little later than I normally would to come hang out with you guys for a bit.
4 a.m., no good?
Yeah, I go to bed usually at 4 a.m., and you don't want me at the end of a long poker session. Like, I'm going to say some things that are going to offend some people. You're going to lose some sponsors. So, yeah, I can definitely burn some bridges when it's too late at night.
So you're 39 years old now. You started playing poker when you were 16 years old. So take us through that then. Like, how did you start playing poker at that age, and when did it click and you're like, you know what? I'm good at this. I love it. I might be onto something here.
So this is going to surprise a lot of people, my answer on this one. So I started playing cards at a young age. My gram taught me gin, back alley, pinochle, all these Trump-based card games, dealer's choice. I loved that. When I was 16, my cousin invited me over to his friend's house. We did a little poker game on a pool table, and I was like, oh, I love this. So I went on AOL Instant Messenger, put out a message, running a tournament Tuesday night at my house, because that was when the World Series was on. Did $20 rebuys, got 30 people to show up my first day, and actually at the final table, we caught someone cheating. which is just crazy. So the guy was like bending the deck back when he was dealing, so it was self-dealt. And he was looking at what the flop was ahead of time. So we had to kick him out, give the guy who went out before his money back. And yeah, I won that tournament. I won a lot of them for like the first year or two. Then I went away to Bentley College, was going to be a finance major, played way too much online poker like most people in that era, and dropped out of school to play thinking I was professional, had no idea what to do. I always look back and that was one of the worst things I did in my career for like expectation, because I should have went broke many times. I was not good enough at that time. I did not have enough money. I did not understand what being a professional was. Thankfully, I ran into the right people early on in my career who taught me a lot about being a professional gambler, and they were great mentors my whole life, and still close with a lot of them to this day. And yeah, it worked out well, but I should have failed about 99 out of 100 times, if not worse. So yeah, it's crazy to end up where I did. Obviously, I'm very intelligent when it comes to games and game theory and psychology, but there's so much like financial backing in poker that was important that I was so green at that I should not have gotten where I got.
Okay, so how difficult is the transition going from online to live?
Oh, so yeah. So for a long time, I was one of the biggest winners in online tournaments. I played the most volume, the most tables, most tournaments, most hours. I got a lot of experience, but my early live career, I think I lost like $2 million. And this was before all the crazy high rollers now. This was, 18, 19 years ago. And I was playing the highest ever was like a 10 or 15K. And I lost $2 million playing those stakes where I was probably the biggest winner online and the biggest loser live at the same time. So It took me a while to adjust to the dynamics of live poker, more players at the table, less aggression, people kind of have it more often. And so, yeah, it took me, until Black Friday happened that I really transitioned into being a good live poker player. And now, to the younger kids, I'm considered like a live pro, which is just really funny because the old school guys knew me as an online wizard first.
What do you prefer?
I prefer live poker. I like socializing. I like chatting. I'm a very outgoing person. I don't listen to music at the table. I always have stuff going on. I always want to learn about people. And I've met so many amazing people at the poker table that, successful people from so many different industries, and some of the craziest, zaniest people you would never think you would have anything in common with, but we sit there and play cards, and all of a sudden we realize how alike we are. And so many of my close friends and my wife even when I met at a poker table. So I owe everything to poker.
I like that. I respect that it's just you at the table. No sunglasses, no hoodies, no earbuds, nothing.
No, I think it's sad for this generation to like be all hoodied up. I think we've really done a good job of moving away from that. And I think a lot of the younger kids realize it's very important to just talk at a poker table and be entertaining, because if someone's going to come lose their money to you, at least let them have a good time. Like if they're miserable, that's just bad for poker long term. So I think I was one of the first of my generation to really be entertaining, whether it was my slow rolls or different things I did at the table, where I definitely kept everyone on their toes and entertained as much best I could.
Was there a point in your career where people, is this guy ever going to get a bracelet? Is he going to get over the hump? And then once you got one, did they start? How difficult was that early on? And then you have 6 now, but how did that?
Yeah, I definitely, was one of those people mentioned as best without a bracelet, for first 10 years or so of my career. And then I won my first one heads up with Paul Volpe, one of my best friends at the time. And we did a chop and we were just having fun. I'm known for slow rolling, for those who don't know. It's where you basically have the best hand and you wait a while to call somebody. And, as a kid, I'm dreaming of slow rolling for my first World Series bracelet. And me and Paul are playing this hand, and I have aces full with pocket aces in my hand, obviously like one of the best hands ever. And he basically goes all into me, and I couldn't slow roll him for my first bracelet. I ended up covering him by literally 5,000 chips. There was $5 million in play, so it was a massive pot, and he bluffed it all off into me. But I couldn't slow roll him because he's one of the people I'm not allowed to slow roll, because he said we'd no longer be friends if I ever slow rolled him. So unfortunately, my dream was there, what I always envisioned in my first bracelet, and I couldn't do it because it wasn't worth losing a friend over.
All right.
Wow.
Good answer.
How nervous were you then? Although you knew that your hand was the nuts pretty much, and do you still get nervous at all today?
Yeah, I still think there's times you're uncomfortable because, I'm kind of out of the game a little bit. I got a wife and 2 kids, so I don't travel as much. I don't play online as much. So I know that the game is passing me by. And so it's always uncomfortable. Like, this is the first day of the World Series. I'm going to go play with people who know a lot about me and I know nothing about them. And so that's, it's such an information-based game. and people have these notions about my style. So, some of the best advice I got early in my career was, I think it was Phil Locke said, as you get more famous in poker, there's going to be two types of people. Those who try to bluff you because you're the name pro, and those who are afraid of you because you're a big name pro. He's like, if you can figure out who's who, the more notable you become in poker, you're going to make a lot of money. And that's one of the things I always try to focus on the table is this person trying to show me a bluff to text all their friends and go back to their home game and brag about it, or this person's so afraid that I'm going to see through their soul that everything they do versus me, they have it. And so I always get to play the little funny game with myself in my head.
How long does it generally take you to notice like the tell then?
It's not necessarily a tell. It's just more a tendency, and
Okay.
That's why I converse the table to get information. Like, how comfortable? What stakes do you play? Where do you live? Do you have a real job? Like, all those bits of information. They kill the dead air of the time at the table, but also they give me a lot of insight into what type of opponent I'm against. What's their comfortability? Does the stakes matter to them? Are they just here as a one-off event and they're going to play tighter? Or are they here the whole summer and they're going to be blasting? So there's no set time and there's no set tell. It's just always churning and churning new information to see how best to use it to make the best decision each hand I play against them.
Is Ivy the best of all time?
I think Ivy's a great player. There's so many people at different generations who were the best at one time. Definitely there was a good stretch where Phil was the best, but there was many times he didn't care about poker, and he still played really well. He's a very interesting guy. He's really coming out of his shell the last few years. He has a kid now. He's gotten sober, I believe, stayed sober, and he's very talkative now at the tables, which is so weird. Playing with Phil for 18 plus years, and he didn't speak to me for the first 10 years. And then we had a couple interactions over the years, and now he, with my weight loss bet, which we'll get into, he was asking me all these questions. Did I, get into yoga? Did I do this? Meditation? Like, he's definitely a different guy than what I envisioned him to be when I first, started hanging around him.
Okay.
Very good. It's Follow the Money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Our guest, professional poker player Shaun Deeb, Day 1 World Series of Poker today. You're going to go and sign up later on today after the show, you said. How many events will you get in?
Yeah, pretty much play all of them. So I think last year I played about 70 of the 100 events, and I played like 150 total bullets. So I rebought about 80 times on top of those. So so I pretty much will play almost all stakes and almost all versions of poker. So for me, it's a very busy schedule. I might even be playing 2 tournaments at the same time, running back and forth between the tables. Less likely to do that this year than I have in the past, but anything's open, and I just love it's like summer camp for me. And so we're back out here, and I'm happy to see all my old friends and see what the World Series has to offer.
Helmuth made a comment about the schedule. Do you have any issues with that? And what's your longest session?
My longest session, I've played 52 hours, and I actually had my biggest win and my biggest win in tournament and my biggest win in cash game during that session at the same time. So I played 36 hours of cash all night, playing 300, 600, won like 125K. And then I max late reg this satellite to the first ever $1 million tournament, the one drop. And so I end up playing while still awake for like 10, 12 hours of that tournament. I get heads up with Gus Hansen, and first place was a seat in an 888K buy-in event, and second place was $1 million cash. And I had, like 70 or 80% of myself in this satellite. So if I won the satellite, I would have 78% of myself in $1 million buy-in, which I did not have the bankroll. I still don't have the bankroll to play that much myself in one event. So, and that, this was 3 a.m.
Hold on, tease it. We got to go to a break. That's a good tease, though.
Yeah,
good
okay,
tease.
so hang on to that.
Gets good.
And also, he'll tell you about the story where he won a lot of money on a weight loss bet. It's a fantastic story. That's coming up next on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
We continue here with professional poker player Shaun Deeb. Very cool of him to come in studio today in town for the World Series of Poker. In fact, as he said in the first segment, he's going to delay signing up for the events until after the show's done with today. We'll get into your prop bet from years ago when you lost all that weight. Finish telling that story that you were right before the break.
Yeah, sorry. I'm not as professional as you guys. Where was I in the story?
It was a crazy day, the biggest win, and your heads up against Gus Hansen.
Tournament, yep.
It's a $1 million tournament?
Yeah, so it was a $25 satellite to the first ever one-drop $1 million buy-in. This is 4 a.m. I've been up for 2 full days at this point, and I don't want to play that. The tournament starts noon on the dot the next day. So I have to play my highest buy-in by a massive amount with so much of myself in 7 hours and try to go to sleep after just winning so much in cash, winning this satellite. So I decided to tell Gus, like, I'll dump to you. I'd rather get second place. It's actually $111K more money because the One Drop was a charity event. $111K of the $1 million buy-in went directly to the One Drop charity. So that's why, in my eyes, second place was worth more. So that's one of those things I regret not taking a shot in that tournament because I went to sleep. I was an alternate. I might have to play. And I put out a tweet like, does anyone want to buy action? I was able to sell $800K worth of action in like 4 hours. I woke up to messages. Everyone's like, I'll take $50K. I'll take $100K. Like, it sold out so fast. I was like, damn. And I was like, all right, I can play. I can have, 20% of myself be comfortable. I've already locked up $600K in the last 48 hours. But yeah, so that was a crazy one. And the funny thing is, Gus was also played all night playing cash, a much bigger game than I was playing. So me and him both max late reg that tournament and ended up, chopping and both winning $1 million. And Gus went on to play a tournament. He lost. He didn't cash. So I think I worked out a little better than him in that situation.
Oh, man. Incredible. Incredible. Did your family support you going back or dropping out of college and I'm going to give this a shot?
Yeah, so my grandmother, those of us in poker know that she's the oldest woman to ever play the World Series main event at 92 and 93 years old. She played in, I think, 11 and 12, I think it was. And she was very supportive when I dropped out of college. My parents were like, but if she had my back, she said he'll figure it out. He's smart. And, my family owns a bunch of restaurants in upstate New York called Ted's Fish Fry. So that was one of my online screen names. And I was had that to fall back on. So I could always run one of the businesses or something. But yeah, so I definitely made a mistake dropping out of college. I should not have gotten to where I did monetarily, success-wise. Still being in this industry 20 years later is crazy.
So one of our favorite things to always hear about it are like prop bets that poker players have made with each other. We had a guest on several years ago when we were doing mornings here on VSiN, and one of their buddies lost a bet, and to pay it off, he had to like wear a hamburglar outfit. They had to go golfing several different courses in Arizona in the heat, and he had to eat like $1,000 worth of McDonald's. And it was just stupid, right? But they had a lot of fun with it, and it was a great story. Your story involves losing a ton of weight with Bill Perkins, and you can explain who Bill is to the audience who may not know. But tell us about this whole thing, about how it started, how much you lost, how much you won, everything like that.
Yeah, so I was at Turning Stone Casino in upstate New York. One of the first casinos I was really a regular at, being 2 hours away, 18-plus casino. They had their one of their first circuit stops there, and I make the final table. I'm chip leader. I'm sitting up there. I haven't eaten all day. My uncle Donnie, the guy you met, and my uncle Bucky were there, and they love watch. They never really get to watch me play poker. So being 2 hours away, they drive out for the final table, and I'm starving. I'm like, can you guys get me something? They go get me some chicken fingers from the little snack shack at the venue. And I'm sitting up there, and I have the chicken fingers like rested on my leg, and I'm sitting there eating while raising every hand. So I'm doing balance, and like it looks hilarious. So my one friend DJ takes a video of it and sends it to Matt Glantz, who ends up sending it to Josh Aryeh, who Josh finds it hilarious, and Josh actually puts a tweet out of like peak male performance. Everyone starts memeing it, and like. And Bill Perkins, I've met Bill a few times over the years, very successful businessman who loves poker and loves health and prop bets. He had just won a prop bet off Doug Polk for $200K. So he puts out a tweet to me. He's like, I know you've been setting me up for years. How about in 2 years you have to get to 10% body fat, and I'll lay $1 million to your $50,000. And Doug Polk calls me. He's like, you got to take this bet. I was like, I can't do 10%. That's impossible. I've never worked out a day in my life. I was an athlete in high school, but I stopped and got a bunch of injuries. So I counter back with, I'll lay $100K to $1 million, and I get to 17% body fat. And he said, okay, you got 12 months instead of a year. And this was in March. And I was like, how about give me the start of the next year's World Series? So he says, okay, booked. So I take the bet. I hire a personal trainer. I hire a massage therapist. I hire this high-end doctor out of Texas who's an expert in like anti-aging and cutting-edge drugs. Oh yeah. In 24 hours of booking the bet, I had this amazing team who were all amazing. And if I can look back on it, I would have hired them all every single time.
You remember what people were saying right away? No chance in hell.
Listen, people have doubted me, and those who know me best know that I'm one of the most stubborn people in the world. I'm one of the most diabolically like concentrated, focused. When I get to that level, like I've done in poker many times, nothing's going to stop me. It's mind over matter. It doesn't matter. And so, like, yeah, for the whole year of the bet, my wife did all my cooking. She was awesome taking care of the kids. And I didn't cheat on my diet more than like 3 times, like 100 calories each. I lifted every day. I took every drug I was supposed to take.
How tough was it early on? Because you mentioned you didn't know exercise.
This is crazy. This was the easiest thing I've ever done.
What?
Yes.
You were 306 pounds.
Yeah.
40%
I was
body?
actually 45% body fat.
45.
Yeah. I didn't get DEXA because another crazy story, you can't get DEXA scanned in New York. So I had to go to Connecticut every time. So it was a 3-hour drive just to get a scan. But yeah, so I actually maintained all my lean muscle mass the whole bet because of my drug regimen, because of, you know, my stature and how much muscle I had underneath, and because my diet and nutritionist was so good. So yeah, it was actually surprisingly easy. Like I vape, so I actually was going to quit vaping, do more cardio. Never had to do that. I didn't even do as much cardio as I was supposed to do. I was supposed to do like an hour and a half a day. I was doing 30 minutes every other day. So it was a breeze, and I know it's crazy that people can't believe it was that easy, but you know, I had the right team behind me, and I was not making any mistakes. I didn't put in nearly as much effort as I should have. I could have won this bet, I think, in like 9 months.
Wow.
If I went
my
full
God.
speed.
God, are you
So
serious?
you were at 306 with the weight. The body fat, you said 45%. The target weight was 17%. What does that mean overall for body weight? Where did you have to get down
Well,
to?
that's the whole thing, is because it's based on lean muscle mass, it doesn't matter. Like there's people who are 17% body fat who are 160, and also ones who are 260. So that was the whole thing. Like the key to the bet for me was maintaining my lean muscle mass and building it if I could. And Bill Perkins allowed me to take steroids. I only did 1 cycle towards the end, but it didn't make much of a difference. My numbers and my pace and my protein ratio was all great from day one, and so that's why I started with so much lean muscle mass, and so many people lose that as they're losing weight. But during the bet, I think I lost 95 pounds, and it was all fat. So if you look at my first DEXA and my last one, my lean muscle mass was the same.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So was the easiest part getting used to eating healthy every single meal?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a creature of convenience, so my wife just had everything meal prepped 4 days in advance, and here was my meals. And the funny thing is, to start in the beginning of the bet, the hardest thing was actually eating all the meals, because it was only, I think, 1,700 to 2,000 calories most weeks, and it was actually hard because the volume of food was so much, because it was all very lean, you know, a lot of vegetables, a lot of rice, and I was on Mounjaro, so it was really hard for me to actually eat the meal. So we're doing 5 meals a day. We reduced it down to 3 meals a day because it was helping me actually consume enough calories, because I actually would have had a problem with the bet if I ate too little. And that was like kind of the difficulty. Because like if Bill made a bet with me to lose 100 pounds, that's easy. You just starve yourself, you know, but he wanted me to also be healthy and not just lose weight. And that's the whole point of using the DEXA scan for the body fat.
Did he pay you off like as soon as it was done?
So we were, you know, it was, I think 3 months to go. It was end of February. One of my good friends, Josh Ari, who helped make the bet, fellow member of Team Lucky, he was getting married the next week. I really wanted to go to his wedding, but I wasn't going to go if I wasn't done with the bet. And so I did a DEXA. I was at 20% body fat, and I had 3.5 months to go. So I offered a buyout to Bill for $900K. He countered $800K. My wife's sitting with me. She's like, get $850. I'm like, no, Ashley. Like, my wife is a killer. Like, she wanted that extra $50,000 out of him. I'm like, listen, we let him off for $200K. We were 100% going to win the bet. He knew it. The only way he was going to win if I got injured, and he wasn't going to collect the $100K if I got injured. So he offered a $800K buyout. Eventually, after like 30 minutes, we accepted it. And, yeah, he paid the next week. He's very, very trustworthy, awesome guy.
Yeah. Wasn't there something about there was a tray of chocolate chip cookies early on? Is that true? And
No.
No?
Well,
True?
I don't know what story you're talking about.
Okay. I thought there was a chip of cookie.
There was some, like, Perkins made some jokes about, or I think it was, someone said they were going to, like, at the World Series, bring me chocolate chip cookies and pizzas, and they were going to try to eat food in front of me to mess with me, but, yeah, it didn't work.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Want to know where the money's really going? Unlike other sources, our splits come straight from Circa and DraftKings. Circa takes huge bets from pro bettors. See the percentage of bets versus percentage of handle on every game across every major sport, helping you make smarter, more informed bets. Get the exclusive betting splits at VSiN, little as $9.99. Join the team for your first month. VSiN.com/subscribe.
All right, so Sean Deeb's cool enough to hang around for one more segment. Professional poker player going to sign up for events at the World Series of Poker after he's done here. So he'll continue into the next hour. I want to get into like the cross-sport stuff from like poker players getting into sports betting as well with all these big contests in town now.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Good to have you on board. Busy hour on tap, including Jeff Seeley coming up in about 15 minutes. His best bet at the Memorial. We continue here in studio. Professional poker player Sean Deeb, and he was telling his weight loss prop bet that he won, and he took home about $800,000 on it in the previous hour. If you missed that story, you can go back and listen to it. Find the Follow the Money podcast wherever you get your podcasts. What are some of your prop bets, favorite prop bets that you've heard about?
Yeah, you know, I think one of the people consulted with me with my bet is Huck Seed, a legendary Hall of Fame poker player. I think he had one where he was going to bet that he could stay in an ocean for 24 hours. Me and him actually, he's won like all of his running bets. He's runs like a 4-minute mile, crazy athletic guy. You know, he's in his late 50s now, but he's still an animal when it comes to any physicality. And so one time we were playing a cash game, and it was like me, Huck, Doyle, John Monet, a few other old school guys, and Huck makes a bet. This is, you know, pre-weight loss, Fat Sean, and I was saying how I was like a good athlete at some point in my life. So Huck makes a bet with John Monet whether or not we can run Huck's half mile, my half mile versus John's full mile. And John's like, I've never timed my mile my whole life. I run every so often. So we bet like 5,000 each. Doyle tries to bet 50,000 on Huck because he's like, I've never seen Huck lose a running bet. So Huck's like, no, I don't want more action. We go out there. Huck's training me. He like has me doing wind sprints, all this stuff. I'm absolutely gassed before we even start the bet. So I do my half mile first, and I just do a good 100 meters, but then I'm just dead. So it takes me like probably 4 minutes to do my half mile, maybe 5. And I think it was like 4. And John runs the fastest he's ever ran. I think he ran like a 5-minute, 30-second mile. So with my 4 minutes, there was no way Huck could get done in time. So he lost that bet. So I'm one of the few people Huck can ever lose on. But Huck did bet on me a little bit on the weight loss bet. So I know he made some money back on that.
You guys love action and the creativity?
I mean,
whether it's dark room, live in Iowa for a month, the stuff you guys think of at the table. Sometimes I was watching Ivy and Negrano, and they're betting what's going to come on the flop, what color and everything.
Yeah, there's, you know, a lot of poker players are ADHD, so we just are sitting there bored. We all have egos, and the best way to prove who's right or wrong situation is by betting on it. You know, you guys are into sports and stuff. It's like everyone's like, who's better, you know, Jordan or LeBron? Imagine if you could actually bet on that and then see them play. And that's what poker players do so often is we like to actually get data behind it. So if you're going to talk and say you can do X, Y, Z, put up your money and actually show us you can do it. And that's the nice thing is we're all willing to win and lose versus each other, and it's crazy. And there'll always be more ridiculous prop bets out there because we're going to come up with something new. And whether it's someone eating X number, you know, $1,000 worth of McDonald's in 24 hours. And the funny thing is, like, when poker players do a prop bet, like the McDonald's one, we do all this research of what's the optimal, how many apples do we get? Like, we do all this analytics, and we love solving complex problems that no one's ever thought of. And that's why so many poker players would be very good in a lot of business settings, is because there's situations that we can just analyze something you could never even have thought of and make a good decision and make the correct decision and go on to win.
Totally outside the box, and not everybody's going to come up with, obviously. How much poker money or how many poker players have started to trickle into like the sports betting side of things? Now here at Circa, $100,000 buy-in with the Survivor contest this year. That probably speaks to quite a few poker players anyway to maybe think about. At Westgate, they have a $5,000 Survivor contest.
So yeah, so like me personally, I love sports. Will never bet sports, but I've thought about doing the survivor pools because I think my tournament background of understanding the dynamics, because I think the survivor pools are so much about playing out later weeks. But that's based on the bigger field size. In a smaller field size, if it's paying, if it's winner take all, like you look at the payouts, there's all this strategy and game theory where actually skill and the picks don't matter. It's understanding your opponents and what they're likely to do. And I think that's why there's a lot of poker players who love betting sports. And also, poker, it's hard to play high stakes regularly. So you can sports bet the most obscure things on any sports book 24/7. So there's a lot of overlap in poker players and sports betting for that exact reason.
So if there's an overlay here in the $100,000 buy-in, the community will come in and snatch that up, and word will travel fast.
I mean, I'm sure people will just sell action, and you'll have your sports specialist. I have my good friend DJ I mentioned earlier. He loves sports more than anyone, knows a lot of stuff about it. I would just take a $100K buy-in and give him most of the reins, and we just sit there and map it out and say this is what we think we should do. But I can't imagine it would overlay. There's just, even if there's one spot open, someone's going to bring up together 100K in a team because it's hard to be losing, worse than 10% to not be break even with overlay.
You were saying something during the break, and it's Follow the Money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Our guest is professional poker player Sean Deeb. He's going to be signing up for all the events in the World Series of Poker a little bit later on today. The more obscure the game, the better that you're probably going to be at it, and probably right away, yeah?
Yeah, so I think I have an amazing mind of understanding different games. So when new poker games come out, whether it was Open Face Chinese Poker or Badugi or Badusi, anything that is fresh, I will find a way to adjust to a game I already knew about and say, okay, this particular trick that works in Omaha 8 or better works really well in this game Captain. So I pull from my knowledge of all the other poker games, and also, I'm very good at understanding equity and probability, so I'm doing a lot of math on the fly of these new games. So I've made a lot of money in my career with these new games, and I've sat there at a table when we've invented new games. And that's kind of, I love doing that. Me and my friends have talked about going David Skalansky route, where he created a bunch of table games for casinos and solve the odds and say, okay, this is the house edge, this is how it's fun, this is how it's exciting. My good friend Dan Wyman, reigning 2 years ago main event champ, he's working for this poker startup, and his job is to come up with all these creative ways to do different games incorporated into a poker table with his company. And you surround yourself with creative minds, we're going to come up with some crazy stuff, and sometimes they stick, sometimes they don't, but that's the good thing. It only takes one good idea to make a lot of money.
Yeah. What's your least favorite game to play?
No Limit Hold'em. Players just don't talk a lot. They play very tight. It's really when I grew up playing Hold'em, it was an ego fest. It was all psychology. It was all 4-bet, 5-bet, 6-bet, go all in, re-raise. He has nothing, I call. Nowadays, it's so methodical, so slow. It's just not as enjoyable for me. And also the better players are so much better than me that I know I'm not winning in a lot of the highest buy-in, no limit tournaments. You put me in a World Series 1K like I'm playing later today against the recreational players, I'm going to have one of the highest ROIs. But you put me in the highest buy-ins, I'm going to have the lowest ROI. And that's kind of my strategy of how I play poker compared to a lot of the top guys now who are so studied and solved. While they're studying how to play exactly this percentage of the range on this board texture, I'm studying Joe from Iowa and seeing if his wife just called him that he's in trouble, he has to get home, and he can't make day 2, and now he's trying to blast off his chips.
Yeah. Very good. So how about the 500,000 you just played?
So I played that because this past December in Bahamas, there was a invitational bracelet event / Triton event. It was an invitational, so an amateur has to invite a pro. So it was $500K for the amateur, $500K for the pro. On day 1, the amateurs play all separately, and on day 1 all the pros play separately. So coming day 2 they combine. So part of the reason I play that is if I can make day 2, I now get to play with a bunch of people who are not as experienced as me. So I thought I had an edge when I get to day 2. I knew on day 1 I was losing chips. I played a little conservative. I actually got bluffed a few times by some players that I kind of felt might be picking on me for the stakes. And, I sold a bunch of action. I think I had $100K worth of myself in that event, which is still the most I've ever had in an event, but it wasn't like I had $500,000 at risk. So I wanted to have enough exposure that I could play my game. If I got to the deeper stages on the bubble, I could, go for it. But, yeah, I ended up losing, but it was still a fun experience.
So can you get into more? I know you said it earlier about people reaching out when with the Gus Hansen story. How much percentage do these guys have in the $1 million buy-ins or the $500,000 buy-ins?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some people who have as little as 2% of themselves in $1 million. There's other people who might have 125%. Nowadays with crypto and things like they can have over 100% because they're cross booking. Say you were like, oh, I'm much better than you. Let's bet 5% whatever we cash for in this event. So someone might buy action from someone else. Mike McDonald used to do that with Bank of Timex. He had a whole website where he would post markups of players, and you could buy, if you want to bet on Phil Ivey in the main event, you could buy Phil Ivey in the main event for $400 for 1% of him, whatever the numbers worked out. So that kind of stuff has always happened. So, and everyone's in their own personal spot. Sometimes people take too much of themselves and they're gambling because they think they have a good spot, or they're just stuck, or they're like, no one knows except for each individual person. It varies between everyone in the high stakes community. But I do think people have a lot more of themselves than the community thinks, because they've made so much money in different avenues, beating the highest stakes games online and live, or made money in crypto or other investments.
Okay. Yeah. What are your expectations, and how many times? Like, I want to cash this many times coming up here in the World Series to make it successful or achieve your goals.
So when I come to the World Series, my number one goal is Player of the Year. That's what I care the most about. It's hard now. They've literally changed the scoring to screw me over, and in their press release they said, we don't want someone like Sean Deeb to win. So I mean, it's more or less what they said. They want to change the scoring so my style of pure volume does not give me such an edge to win Player of the Year. So that's my goal, is to get that, and then after that I try to win as many bracelets. I could care less about cashes.
Okay.
I care about money won at the end of the year. If I have one cash and it's in the main event and I get third for $7 million, great. That's an awesome summer, the best I'll ever have. There's no, I just try to show up every day, play my best game, know there's a ton of variance, and see how it goes.
Great job.
What social media platform are you most active on?
Just Twitter/X. And I apologize for all you guys and girls who go there. I'm known for having no grammar. There's actually an account, Sean Deeb, or Deeb Spellcheck, that posts all my posts, because even my family members who've known me for a long time in poker don't understand what I'm saying. Even people in poker don't understand what I'm saying. So my brain's a little too fast for my hands. I don't use punctuation. So sorry in advance if you follow me on Twitter. It's not going to be pretty most days.
Great to meet you, and crush it this summer, okay?
Thanks, guys.
We appreciate that.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Derek Stevens is the owner and the CEO of Circa Las Vegas, and his weekly appearance is on Tuesdays at 6:30 Eastern, 3:30 out here on the West Coast. He stops by the set right now. Good to see you as always. How are you today?
All right. Good to see you guys.
You had a pretty busy week last week.
It's a good week.
I mean, because you announced all of the football plans on Thursday, but this was on the heels of throwing out the first pitch in Sacramento for the A's game on Wednesday night.
Yeah.
By the way, you're right down the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you believe it? I was a big underdog, too. Mike Palm, every time, for the last 2 hours leading up to throwing out that first pitch, Palm goes, I'd be plus 220. You got to be at least plus 300. I'm like, shut up, Mike. And then like 10, 20 minutes later, you're plus 350 now. I had a couple of Budweisers in, and he went the wrong way. He goes, you're up to plus 500 now. And I'm thinking, no. Now I got a little better shot. But no, I still went in as a big underdog. Big underdog.
Good job.
But I enjoyed it.
Must have felt pretty damn good.
Oh, God, my heart was fluttering like it was the World Series. Are you kidding me? I'm throwing out a ceremonial first pitch. It was stressful. It was very stressful.
Here it is, by the way.
Yeah.
So we're showing it right now on TV. For the radio audience, This is out on social media as well. Derek Stevens put it out on his Twitter account. That's a beauty.
Yeah. 54-mile-an-hour changeup right down the pipe.
Did you practice at all?
Well, no, but I did have to get warmed up. You know who warmed me up? There's a bat boy for the A's. He went viral earlier this year.
Okay.
He's a single name guy, like the way Cher or Madonna is. He is Stewie. Like, if you've got fans that know who Stewie is, this guy on opening day, he's the guy that chased down that drone out there, and all of his he went viral.
Ah, okay.
And he wears a full A's uniform, Great guy. I had a great time. The guy's going to be here next week.
Oh, very
I had
cool.
a great time meeting him. Yeah, it was awesome.
All right, so that was Wednesday night. Then you came in studio with us on Thursday. You announced the plans for the football contest, like I talked about, including the inaugural Circa Grandissimo $100,000 entry. You have one sign up so far. What has been the reaction?
It's been good. You know, we didn't want to do anything that would cannibalize, the growth of Circa Survivor. And I don't think this will. This is kind of a different little animal. I got a kick out of the fact that we had somebody jump in and sign up for Circa Survivor right off the jump. In the first half hour we were open, so that was pretty cool. So now we're only sweating out $1.4 million on this one right now. So, but I know we're going to get another one. We're not going to let this guy win the whole thing, right? It'd be a free roll.
Yeah.
You'll get at least one more. Yeah.
Yeah, I know we're going to get one more.
We got great response on this, and Mitch had a good point too about that you're going to get the ego money and the guys who want to show off as well. What's been the feedback and what people are telling you about that?
Well, I mean, I think there's something to it. I mean, if you get a chance to win, Survivor under like kind of the umbrella of Circa, yeah, it's worth a little something. It'd be pretty cool. I mean, if you own a bar, you own a restaurant, let's say somebody wants to go into handicapping or whatever. Yeah, you get the ability to have some street cred. I mean, look at Phil Hellmuth. I mean, he made a career out of winning this. Now he's won some subsequent bracelets of the World Series of Poker. But you get some street cred.
Yeah, that's where I think the poker community is going to be big on something like this. We had Sean Deeb in studio earlier. If you missed it, you can go back and listen on the Follow the Money podcast, wherever you can get it wherever your podcasts are available. He's the guy who won $800,000 in a weight loss bet on a prop bet with a billionaire. Bill Perkins had that bet with him. We asked him about like the poker player community getting involved with something like this, and I think that's where you're going to see a lot of that from Derek, probably.
Very well could be. Yeah, it could be. We're trying to make sure we get 15, and really what I think is going to be fascinating though is how someone plays it, but they're still playing in Circa Survivor and maybe making some different decisions. And I think the strategy, the game theory, that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
Come to town, circalasvegas.com, get the all-in stay, and also get the schedules which are available at the gift shop at the D and at Circa. Go ahead.
You said all in. Today was the first day for the all-ins to start, I think, right? Was today the first day?
Yes.
I just went by Stadium Swim. It's packed.
Good.
Yeah, it's
Good
nice.
job. Hell of a giveaway. So you know John Taffer.
Yeah.
You know him well. Bar Rescue.
I've did a show a couple times.
Okay.
Yeah, nice guy.
Right.
Really nice guy.
Well, he's entertaining. Knows his stuff. But every time he comes on, he's like, you're giving away way too much, the overpour, you're giving away too much alcohol. What happens at a big resort casino how do you account for overpouring, free drinks, and all that? Is there a system? How does that go? How do you monitor this stuff?
Yeah, so anytime you order a drink from, let's say, a cocktail waitress on a slot machine or on a table, we use an easy bar system, so it automatically calculates it out. An ounce and a half pour, pretty straightforward, really good record keeping all that. But all of our bars, like Mega Bar or Long Bar over at the D or Prohibition Bar at Golden Gate or you see or Vicky's, we free pour everything. And what we think if you free pour, it's a little more, it's a little quicker, and we think it gives you a little better customer service. We generally have a min, so generally on a single shot, it's 2 ounces on a free pour. So we over pour everything, but we think it's worthwhile because we think it kind of differentiates us. I mean, our drinks are strong here. Well, they've been strong for 15 years, and I know it costs us a little bit more, but I'd rather have a strong drink. So we've always done it that way, and our bartenders love it. It actually helps us with our bartenders because the bartenders that have to push a button, you don't really have the greatest customer service. The guys that can free pour right in front of the customer, it makes it something special. So we go that route.
So when you did John's show, did he disagree with what you were doing?
No, I think there's really not not a right answer. It depends upon the situation. I think in bigger organizations, or when you're really looking on cutting down the costs, or you're doing something, he's absolutely right. But when you're doing something a little bit different, it's a different way of doing it. It's just a different way of running a business.
You're trying to be cutting edge. You guys do a great job at this. I'll read this from the Circa Las Vegas Twitter account. It starts tonight. Circa is plugging into the Bitcoin network. Join us tonight through the 29th as Circa Bar transforms into Bitcoin Bar. Tap, explore, and spend your sats. Okay. Tell us about this event.
Yeah, I mean, I think we couldn't hit the timing better. We planned on this thing 6 months ago. Now Bitcoin's at $110,000 of Bitcoin. It's kind of taken off in the last few months. No, this is something great. We love endorsing crypto here. We're the first guys to bring those ATMs in. There's a couple guys that took their tips at the end of the shift and bought Bitcoin back like 7-8 years ago. We did pretty well with that. So I love having some of the crypto conferences here, and having them in here while their wallets on their phones are full. That's good.
Yeah, when you walk into this place, like upstairs, for example, exactly what you were talking about. There's that machine where you can get the Bitcoin. You can are those popular? You just brought them up.
Yeah, I mean, the splits on them are outrageous. The splits aren't us, but we talk about splits a lot on sports.
Sure.
The splits on this stuff is crazy. It's like minus 140, minus 140. That's about as bad as it is.
Really?
It's really something. But it's always moving. But effectively, when we brought it in and Bitcoin was at $7,000 per Bitcoin. You can afford to lay a little extra juice on these things,
I guess so, yeah.
The crazy thing about when I brought them in, the reason I brought them in was because I thought there would be so many people that had Bitcoin, they would go to these ATMs and get cash out and then go to the casino. Boy, I misjudged that one. Every time we got to shut the machine down, it's because it's full. It's been like that now for 10 years.
Is that right?
Yeah. People keep depositing.
Wow.
A lot more goes in than comes out. And these are the machines where the money can go in and then it also comes back out. So it only once it gets full or gets emptied, you have to do anything with it. But no, they generally always just get full.
Wild. Okay. How's the handle been for the NBA playoffs?
Oh, real good. Real good. We're real happy about NBA. I mean, it's been good. We didn't like yesterday's outcome, but it was okay.
Yeah. NHL or not so much?
NHL out. It's been all right. NBA playoffs have been real good though.
Okay. Your level of excitement now that you saw the bracket for the College World Series?
Oh, I'm all fired up. I watched Selection Monday. It was terrific. I love it. We're going to be off and running here. I think the stats of if you're hosting in this first round in the last 5 years, it's always been anywhere from 9 to 12 of those number one seeds make it through this first round, get to the supers. Might be a little more volatile this year. I don't think you have those dominant teams like we saw before.
All right, hope for some chaos then. So we're going to go to Omaha June 12th to the 14th, doing shows out there. Rocco's right across from the stadium. Paulie said that he's up to doing 10 Jello shots minimum per night when we're there.
Yes.
Oh, easy.
Easy.
Won't be a problem.
Won't be a problem.
Won't be a problem.
Snap call. There you go.
What could go wrong, Derek? Thank you. Have a good week.
Great job.
Talk to you soon. In Pocket Plays coming up next on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
If your job at a healthcare facility includes disinfecting against viruses, you know prevention is the best medicine. And maintaining healthy spaces starts with a healthy cleaning routine. Grainger's world-class supply chain helps ensure you have the quality products you need when you need them. From disinfectants and cleaning supplies to personal protective equipment, so you can help deliver a clean bill of health. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.